Popcorn World. Popcorn World. Yeah.
Can I make you move now? Yes, I can. So you can get this move in a bag of a can. I can make it round the world and the holes in your hand. Popcorn World. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. I said popcorn make you smile. Ah. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. The Popcorn World.
You're now listening to Bleav in the ACC with Heisman Trophy winner and Florida State legend, Mr. Charlie Ward, Wave 3 TV, and Furniture Hall of Famer Kendrick Haskins, and Mr. Talking Noise himself, and of course Mama Noise's man, Lloyd Smith. And now it's time for Bleav in the ACC. I always thought the words Happy Halloween were a weird oxymoron because that's not the goal. The goal is to be somewhat frightening, I guess. And maybe the candy makes you happy. Like, I don't know. What's the happy part? I don't understand what the happy part is. I guess it's the candy. It's the hall of candy.
Yeah, I mean, when you're a kid, it's definitely the candy.
All right. I just was wondering. That's like, you're walking around in a.
I think it's out of habit. It's out of habit. Every holiday you say happy whatever. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy. Only one we don't say really happy is Christmas. Right.
We say Merry.
We say Merry.
Merry is a step above happy.
Yeah. Everything else is Happy Kwanzaa. Happy New Year.
Happy Rosh Hashanah. There you
go. Right.
Well, we're here for our podcast, doing it again. And just for those of you who are listening and not watching, Coach Junior is very ready. He is geared up. He's got his jersey on. He is ready. He looks like he's game day ready. So I don't know if he's playing this weekend. I'm not sure what's going on.
He may as well.
He's definitely needed. He's definitely needed. That's for sure. Are you gearing up to go play today, or is there a guest appearance? What's going on, Coach Junior?
I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm happy to be here.
Well, that's something. We're all happy to be here. I'm glad we're here today for Bleav in the ACC. We are going to have a great show, as we always do here. And this has been a great.
Who's number 5?
Say again?
Who's number 5?
Greg Reed.
Greg Reed.
He's on the current team?
He's on the who? Yeah. Greg Reed used to be number 5.
I think Charlie's trying to avoid a humble flex right here. I think that's what's happening.
It feels like it. If we exempt you from humble flex status, can we get more information?
You're exempt. You
are
for
exempt.
the school. You played for the
exempt.
school. You're exempt.
Number 5. Who's number 5? The latest number 5.
Who is the latest number 5? I honestly do not know, but let me now I want to know. So let me go find out.
Was Lavernius number 5 back when he was there? No.
But you're not wearing it for them. You're wearing it for who the current number 5 is, correct?
No, not the current guy.
Because the current guy is Zach. Well, no, that's a different team.
I clicked on Florida State. Why did they bring up Georgia Tech?
He's going to
Oh, here
be
we
my
go.
shout out. He's going to be my shout out at the end.
Okay.
We'll wait till then. So
Oh, there's a
there's no
cliffhanger
spoiler
here.
alert.
There's a cliffhanger
Stay
here. I like
tuned.
this. I like cliffhanger.
Charlie with the tease.
I like it. I'm here for it. Okay. All right. Well, listen, a lot of stuff to discuss. We would be remiss though, because we are not just ACC fans, but we are sports fans. We would be remiss if we did not mention last night's game, the World Series. I've been watching baseball with my grandfather since I was 5 years old. And I can truly say, in the 45 years that I've been watching baseball and World Series,
I don't know what
I've
you're
never seen anything like that. That was
not in Major League Baseball.
That was an unbelievable. And now, listen, this is not hyperbole. I've never seen. Here's how much I've never seen it. When the Yankees went up 5-0, I started making bed plans. I'm saying, wow, this is great. I get to go to bed early tonight. I don't have to stay up for this game. There'll be a game 6, all is well. And I even took a little nap.
Then the 5th inning happened.
During the game, I took a little nap because I was like, this is fantastic. And then, I don't know what you want to call the 5th inning. Some will for sure today, I'm sure on First Take, Stephen A. Smith is going to call that a choke job. I don't know if it was a choke job in the true sense of the word, but it was bad. It was a massive collapse of epic proportions. And the Yankees, for lack of a better word, tricked off their opportunity. They just It just fell all the way apart. Did you guys see any of it or?
Yeah, I was watching in the 5th inning when they completely fell apart.
Oh, you started watching the 5th inning?
No, I was watching before. I had been watching most of the game. I had been at work and I came home and I got home. I think I may have gotten home right around the 5th inning. It may have been the 4th, but I want to say it was. So I saw the whole thing, and it started. And I was sitting here, and when Aaron Judge dropped that ball, I was like,
I had a moment.
Yeah, I was like, when stuff like that happens, usually the gates open, and wow.
Well, the gate opens. It doesn't. There's not usually a flood. Like it's just usually like, oh, the 2-run score. Maybe they'll let 2 more score.
But then it happened again. They had 2 more errors.
It
was like watching Little League Baseball. It was like watching the Little League World Series.
Well, let me say this. The moment Garrett Cole did not run to first base, I thought I was having an out-of-body experience at that moment. Like, am I being punked? Like, what's going on? Because that's a routine play.
And that's Mookie Betts.
So you don't even – this ain't hard. You got to run to the base, bro. And it was just bad. Charlie, did you see any of it? Did you get a chance to watch any of it?
Well, I watched it after that and didn't understand. I think I came in when they were showing the replay of him not running to the base after the fact. But I didn't know they were up 5-0.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
comfortably. Listen, Charlie, real quick before you finish, it was the kind of comfortable 5-0 to where everyone was making plans for game 6. The Dodgers couldn't get a hit. They couldn't get any momentum. It was a very comfortable 5-0. I even heard A-Rod say after the game, he said, I had made reservations and plans and for dinner in LA because I just knew this is pretty much over. They all felt like it was over. And it just, I don't know. It was wild to watch in real time. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Charlie.
Oh, yeah. I just said I came in after that and they kept talking about it, how it was unprecedented, the way they did. But Garrett Cole seemed to have found a way to keep it to 5. I think after all the circumstances, that was one of the things that they were. I think I may have rode him out a little bit longer than they did. because I mean he wasn't pitching bad at the time they took him out, but I mean, we can all sit here and guess what should have, could have happened, but nonetheless, I guess being up 5-0 and then going through that debacle where everyone took a turn,
Yeah.
and against good teams, you can't do that.
Right.
Yeah.
And of course, the Dodgers is a very good team, and they manufactured those runs at the end to be able to give themselves a chance to win.
Truth be told, he didn't pitch bad in the fifth inning. If you're being honest about what you watched, he didn't pitch bad in the fifth inning. It was
That's what I'm
3
saying.
errors. Right? He was doing great. I mean, Charlie, you bring up an interesting point, and I don't want to belabor this, but you bring up an interesting point because they didn't really have anything else beyond him. Because once he came out the game, the wheels really did fall off at that point. And then it just felt inevitable that they were going to lose that game. So I don't know. Hindsight is always 20/20. Maybe you do push him because you're not going to use him anymore anyway. So why not push him on through to the end and just see what you can get? But I don't know. That was wild. That was a wild.
Well, I mean, they only gave up 2 more runs after that.
Right.
So, I mean,
They kept loading bases and.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, on my only argument against, I was saying that maybe they should have taken him out. He had thrown a ton of pitches by that point.
He had, but
So,
no, and that's what I was thinking too. The pitch count was way high.
I think it was 108 pitches at that point.
Yeah, and by the way, and by modern terms, that's a lot. I know we're all old school. We remember guys playing the whole game, but. Yeah.
108 is a lot even in the old school, though. I mean, that's 108's even a lot in old.
108's a lot in the old school. Yeah, that's a lot. So but I don't know. To Charlie's point too, I don't know. Maybe listen, it doesn't matter now anyway. But I may have ridden that horse a little longer. It was just that was a wild ending. But we wanted to address it, give love to the Dodgers. And by the way, shout out to Magic Johnson. We give an early shout out to Magic Johnson, who has now won multiple championships in 3 different sports.
What's the other? I know baseball and basketball. What's the other?
Didn't he win? He's won. Well, I'm saying 3 different leagues. I say sports, but really 3 different leagues: WNBA, NBA, and now Major League Baseball.
WNBA. I didn't realize he was part owner of the Sparks.
Yeah, I think he was the primary owner for a while, and then he brought some other people in. But yeah. Magic seems to have the magic when it comes to winning championships.
He's also the owner with the Commanders.
I know.
Yeah.
So which as members of the NFC East, it makes us very nervous.
Right. Especially considering our predicaments.
Exactly. We're not, our teams are not in good spaces. Okay. So we just wanted to address that because that's a historical moment. That's going on. Let's get into some ACC talk because I think it is relatively clear what we're looking at now as it relates to the ACC. I think the line is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 really great teams. There are probably 3 okay teams, maybe 4, and then there's the rest of the league. I would say 6.
Great.
So let's go through the list. Let's go through the list, and you tell me if I'm wrong. I would say the good and great teams are Clemson, Miami, SMU, Pittsburgh, and then the 2 underachievers are Virginia Tech and Louisville.
I'd say great. I'd go great on Miami and Clemson. Very good are Pitt and SMU.
I can live with that. I can live with that. The hit or misses are, though record-wise it says something different. The hit or misses are Syracuse and Duke. You could maybe throw Georgia Tech in there, but I don't know if I would. With Haynes King, maybe. without Gaines getting no shot. And then everybody else is kind of 500. Everybody else is 500. It's Wake Forest, Virginia, Boston College, North Carolina State, North Carolina, the Tar Heels, and then the struggling teams are Stanford and Florida State. I guess you could throw California into the weird mix, but they don't have a ACC win.
They're in the weird mix, though.
They're in the weird mix.
They might be the kings of the weird mix.
They are. They don't have an ACC win yet.
I know it, but they've been right there in every game.
They've been in every single game. So I think we have a clearer picture today than we've had. But now we're about to head to maybe the second half of this season, and it's going to get interesting real fast. And we'll get into those games here in just a second. But let's talk about what has happened. This Syracuse-Pitt game, I honestly thought it was going to be better. You guys for sure thought it was going to be better because I think you picked Syracuse, and I'm not mistaken. Yes, you both picked Syracuse.
I did not have Kyle McCord throwing 3 pick sixes in the first half on my bingo card.
Well, here's what – okay, and that's true. You did not. But here's what you did have, because for 3-4 years of this show, Kendrick Haskins, you've been reminding us of this, and that is Pitt is a terrible place to play, and it's hard to get a win there. You've been saying that to me for 4 years. And guess what? I finally believed you, and I picked Pitt, and you didn't. That's what makes this weird to me.
Yeah, we all have our out-of-body experiences.
It was an out-of-body experience.
In honor of Halloween.
To say the least, it was an out-of-body.
It was a poltergeist.
Yeah. Kyle McCord, I'm going to be honest with you, as well as he has played, I did not see a 5-interception day coming from him. Because he has been so careful with the ball and so calculated with everything he's done. I think it even threw his coach out, because there was a moment during the game where he threw a pick six and he came to the sideline and his coach grabbed him by the face mask, and it was almost like you could see the Ayanna Van Zant moment saying, "You got to calm down." You got to calm down.
I know that feeling.
You know that feeling, Charlie?
Yes. It's a
Wow.
tough one, but somebody got to go through it.
Yeah. And sometimes, much like our Yankees friends, sometimes the wheels come off the car. It happens. It happens. And when it happens, sometimes you can't get it back.
If the wheels coming off the car, somebody done stole the car.
Listen, 5 INTs and 3 pick sixes is a steal. That's stealing. By the way, that was really the only good thing that happened with Pitt, because Eli Holstein was knocked out the game. And they only rushed for. Listen, let me give you the numbers. As a team, Pitt passed for 144 yards. As a team, they ran for 73. So you're not supposed to get 41 points from those numbers.
Your Syracuse's defense, you're about to choke everybody on offense.
Listen, I can tell you unequivocally, without having been there, the Syracuse defense did not speak to the Syracuse offense for 2 or 3 days. Don't talk to us.
They may have to go back on different flights.
They definitely sat on opposite sides of the cafeteria. That's for sure.
Oh, they're a team, and they will have to help each other become better next game.
Well, you know that
the defense is probably thinking we can't get no better.
Right. You know that eventually, Charlie. But surely you need a day, just a day, to kind of figure, get yourself back together mentally.
With
not
19,
want
20-year-old
not want to choke somebody out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you got 19, 20, 21-year-old kids. Yeah.
You might need a day.
Right.
So
this is when the coaching's earning his money off the field.
No question about it. And then we had another shocker on Friday. Boston College went up on Louisville 20-7 at the half. And everybody was
20
like,
to nothing. It was 20-0, and U of L got their touchdown just for half.
Right. It was 20-0 for a long time, and then the bottom fell out of Boston College in the second half. And it's almost like Louisville remembered who they were, had their Lion King Mufasa moment. Remember who you are. And they did.
It was wild because for a Friday night, I saw more of this game than I normally would on a Friday night because of high school football. But thankfully, I'm gonna give an early shout out.
Okay, yeah.
It's a new phenomenon. It's only been happening here in Jefferson County as far as the state goes. I don't know about the rest of the country, but there's been some of our high school football games have been starting at 6:00.
By the way, why did it take this long? But that's a whole other conversation.
Glorious for those of us who have to put together a high school football show every Friday. So I was able to get back to the station in time to see just about all of this game. So I watched all of it just for the most part. And when Louisville, you could feel the tide turning when Louisville scored that first touchdown. When they was down 27. Even though Boston College came out scored immediately in the third quarter, they was up 27-7.
Yeah.
You could just feel like, okay, the offense has gotten clicking.
Yeah.
If the defense can get some stops, they're going to be okay. And so rest of my coworkers started filtering into the office. I think Louisville may have been down. It may have been 27-14. Yeah. And I was like, they're going to win this game. Yeah. And they was like, you're crazy. I was like, no, I've been watching the game. They're about to win this game.
It felt like the tides had turned.
Yeah, and especially when Ja'Cory Brooks had that one-hand catch down the sideline. That dude right there is amazing. He doesn't get nearly the national spotlight that he should, probably because of their record. But that dude has done something like that every game this season. He has been fantastic. He's been lived up to all the billing coming in.
How tall is he? Alabama?
Yeah.
How tall is he?
I think he's somewhere between 6'2" and 6'4".
My God, that kid's gonna play on Sunday. He's so good.
He's so good. And then the freshman Isaac Brown, he scores 2 touchdowns. And then the tight end who had not played all season really, he came in for Johnson, who got hurt. He's out for the season. He got hurt against Miami. He comes in and scores 2 touchdowns and scores the game-winning touchdown in the game. Yeah. And then the defense, after that first touchdown in the third quarter, defense absolutely shut Boston College down. Yeah, and so they played well that second half. Hopefully, they can keep that momentum going into this week. But yeah, if you were just sitting there watching the game and not just following the scores, you could kind of tell that the tide was turning and Louisville was going to win that game.
Nate Kariski, I think, is the kid you're talking about, the tight end.
Yes, Nate Kariski.
Yeah, it was an amazing comeback win.
They ran the same play. Twice on the goal line.
Twice. Yeah, it was the exact same play twice. And he was wide open both times.
Yeah.
So Louisville escapes out of Boston College and gets that win on Friday night. When we move into Saturday, the games kind of became what you thought they would. Still no Haynes King, still no shot. Virginia Tech.
I was surprised that Virginia Tech only scored 21 in that game, though.
Yeah, that seems to be
Georgia Tech defense. Not bad. They still got players. So
it's not bad, but I just thought Virginia Tech could put up more points against it, though. No disrespect to Georgia Tech, I just thought Virginia Tech could score more than that.
Well, here's the thing. I think Kyron Drones is just okay. Like, he's just okay, and I think that there lies the problem because
he's inconsistent.
But Shul Tootin can run. He can tote the rock.
Tootin was why I thought they'd put up more points.
Right. But Georgia Tech's run defense apparently is pretty darn good. And so they were able to kind of contain Bashul a little bit, surprisingly. But they did just enough to get the victory. Nothing spectacular, but just, enough. UNC Virginia. I think we all missed this one.
Of course we did.
Nobody saw this coming.
We thought it was going to be the other way around.
The 41 points from North Carolina is not shocking. The fact that North Carolina's defense held somebody to 14 points got to be the first time that's happened in 3 years since in the Mac Brown era. 14? Amazing.
I couldn't believe it.
Amazing. So, I don't know. I don't know what happened with Virginia or where they – well, I tell you one thing. The North Carolina shut their rushing, turned off all of Virginia's water in rushing. Virginia rushed for 7 yards in that game. 7.
Wow. I mean, how many is that sacks, though?
A lot of them were sacks because Anthony Calandra by himself, they technically rushed for more than 7 if you look at what they actually did.
Yeah, the way college football does that's weird.
Yeah, but Calandra by himself was sacked a lot. So he killed their rushing yards.
Yeah.
But that's
why do they do that? Why do they put the sacks take it off of rushing?
I've always wondered that. Because I think they did that when you were playing too, didn't they, Charlie?
Yeah, I mean, it's always been that way.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, but I don't know where would you put it though. Where else do you put it? Under passing, maybe.
Put it in its own category.
Just don't put it on anybody's category.
They don't in the NFL. You don't see the sack yardage.
You don't. It has nothing to do with it. So
that's what I'm saying. It shouldn't go towards anything. It just should be a sack. Say sack yards.
Right. I've always thought that. They've even complained about it on broadcast for years.
Yeah.
But they've never addressed it.
Nobody's ever addressed it. Yeah. Wake Forest beat Stanford. This actually turned out to be a halfway decent game to watch.
You watched that?
I watched a little bit of it. It came down to an interception at the end.
You're doing the Lord's work, brother.
I'm doing the Lord. Well, listen. The beauty of what we do now and what in my setup over here is that I can watch multiple games without actually having to watch a game. So it's on, and I can see it out the corner of my eye.
Like, the 4 box has been the greatest invention of sports.
Right. The 4 box is fantastic. So that's helped me get through some games, whatever. And this one came down to a last ending touchdown by Nick Anderson, I think is the kid's name. But it became an interesting game. I don't know how good it was, but it became an interesting game. Stanford and California essentially have the same problem. People aren't necessarily blowing them out, but they can't get a win. Like they just cannot.
I feel like in given time, I think California could be a problem in the ACC. The only thing is, I think by the time they get to that point, they're not going to be in the ACC anymore.
Right. Right. And the same thing we said about Stanford. I think their time in ACC is going to be short.
Stanford, I don't have as much confidence in because Stanford's kind of one of those schools. They'll get good for a period of time, and then they'll kind of disappear for a while.
But I also think that's why they're going to lead the ACC.
Right.
So where is Stanford? Where did they come from? Were they in the Pac-12?
Yeah, they're in the Pac-12. Yeah.
So why did they lead the Pac-12?
Because everybody else was leaving the Pac-12.
Everybody else did.
Charlie. You know this as a black man. When people start running, you don't turn around.
Running.
Start running. Start running. Everybody else is running. And then when you stop running, you say, "Hey man, what are we running for?"
Yeah, that's brilliant analysis.
That's what happened to them. They ran over into the ACC and realized they were there. Like, why are we over here? This is.
I do wonder how long it will be since the Pac-12 is starting to reform itself. How long it will be before Cal and Stanford jump ship?
I think they'll go back
because they were on loan.
Yeah,
right.
They're not getting paid a whole bunch. But now, I guess if they let them out, then that means other teams may be able to get out.
I see what you did there, Charlie. I see what you did there, sir.
One of those teams that's trying to get out might want to join Conference USA the way their season's going.
For football.
Listen.
I just messing with my guy.
No. I like it. California finally got the big win that they've been wanting. If you can call beating Oregon State a big win, which I guess it is. Oregon State
over there.
had
I
a
think
winning
it's former Pac-12 rivals.
Yeah. Nice playing.
Oregon State's decent.
Huh?
I was surprised they beat Oregon State that bad. Oregon State's been decent.
Yeah.
I think they have a winning record, I Bleav.
Well, they don't now. Now they're 500. But
that's technically still a winning record.
Yeah.
But I mean, so coming in, they had a winning record. And
yeah, coming in, they were over 500. Yeah.
I was surprised that California beat them that bad.
I was surprised.
I think that was some frustration coming out that we finally got somebody on the ropes. We're gonna it was like an MMA. I'm just gonna keep beating on them.
Yeah. So the ref stops the fight.
They finally was able to let that loose.
Yeah. Charlie. So listen. I was watching our good friend of the pod, Emmanuel, the other day on the ACC network.
Mm-hmm.
And he was
former Florida State quarterback.
And
Emmanuel. EJ,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
EJ Manuel.
EJ man. I just shortened it. I just nicknamed. Black folks don't nickname.
Look, we getting old. We forget names. I was on a podcast yesterday for Clemson, and I forgot Klubnik's name.
Yeah, we gonna nickname you if we can't figure out and remember what your name was. We'll nickname.
Yeah, so Emmanuel now.
You don't remember your name. So I was watching him, and this is prior to the start of the game, and you can see the pain in his eyes as he was they were asking him, "Did Florida State pull this off?" And he was like, "Well," and I just said, "That's got to be hard when you've had as much success as he's had, and you've had." I feel wrong to even ask you about this team anymore because this is a hard watch. It's a hard watch. But to that point,
it's not hard. I mean, if you watch from a realistic standpoint, I mean, you sit there and watch the game, and I mean, they're playing right now. They're playing with a lot of young guys. I mean, it's kind of been the theme pretty much all year in some form, minus maybe the first couple of weeks.
Right.
They're playing with a lot of young guys, inexperienced guys, as well. And like I said, I mean, the score ended up 36-14, but they had chances, they had opportunities. They're just at a point now where they can't find a way to overcome those chances and opportunities that's been presented. But I thought they competed well. So I just feel tough because the defense has been giving them life.
Yeah.
They just struggling offensively to find any kind of rhythm, any kind of playmaking ability consistently, I should say. And they can't score the football right now. So, I mean, they can get in the red zone and they can't score for whatever reason. And that's just been an issue all year, which is different.
It's a very, in our lifetime, Kendrick, we have not seen a Florida State situation like this in our lifetime. I don't remember it being. I've seen
they had
Florida
some down
State
years. They had some down years, but before Willie got there. But yeah, I can't remember it being this bad. Has it been this bad, Charlie?
Down is one thing, but if I've never seen it where it felt inept.
Not record wise, they haven't been as bad record wise in quite some time. But like that, I mean, it's part of like the losing and winning. You know, last year they found a way to win all their games, the close ones.
Yeah.
And so they found a way to win all those games. And this year, you know, it's the tale of two seasons in a sense that you have a team that has a lot of experience, that left out the door, and then you have a team that has a lot of inexperience. Even with the transfers that they brought in, there's a lot of inexperience, meaning whether they were there just for a few months, and we really didn't have a great core to be able to pull from like we did the previous years. That came back, and the guys that were coming back, they weren't standing out like the Patrick Paytons. They had high hopes from Marvin Jones, and like that front seven, they had their struggles early on. They were playing okay, but they weren't playing with like you were expecting them to play dominant. And when the offense was struggling they've been struggling throughout the year. They didn't have the defense to lean on to help them win games. And you saw it in the California game. They had to win the game. And that's what you have to do consistently when your offense is struggling to find ways to score. So it's been just one of those years. I mean, coaches are pulling out their hair trying to figure out, how to get them to, play better on Saturdays. I've been there, so I totally understand. The whole you practice all week, and you prepare them to win all week, and then once the game comes, it's like one thing happens, then something
it snowballs.
Yeah, something else
Well,
happens.
Charlie, and let's build on that just for a second. Not only do you practice all week preparing them, but what you see in practice looks like it should transfer. Like it's not like Florida State doesn't have talent. They have talent. I'm gonna tell you something. As much as people are going to talk about DJ and they're going to talk about, maybe Ja'Kai Douglas, whatever. The one that shocks me the most is Torfili. I thought he was about to come into his own. I really did. I'm thinking, if nothing else, Torfili's going to hold the rushing room down. He's going to be there at least.
Yeah, he's been his struggles have been the biggest surprise to me.
That's shocking to me that he's not. And I don't know if that's
it's the line. If you don't have a line,
yeah, it is a lot.
You can have Derrick Henry back there. If you ain't got an offensive line, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Charlie, I wanted to ask you because you obviously watch these games with more attention than Lloyd and I do, and you've got a more keen eye on things than Lloyd and I do. Is there something that you're seeing that you can glean from, like, okay, if this matures, like you see a young player out there and our young unit out there, if this matures, this could be something down the road?
Yeah, right now, I mean, what you're seeing is right now we're playing with two, a first year and a second year guy on campus. And I think they've shown flashes of being able to, mature after these years. And you can kind of see them as quarterbacks that can, lead the team. The thing that's surprising is just we haven't been able to run the football. And we're also playing some young offensive linemen now. And even at the beginning of the year, with some of the transfers they had in, they weren't, they were still not getting the push and different things that you need in the run game. But being able to see some of the young players out there competing, even though they have their issues as well, but they're young and they're growing and maturing, and at least they get a chance to see and gain some experience. But the biggest glaring issue is we just haven't had any playmakers. Like, we've had so many drops this year.
Yes.
And that's been the biggest issue to me. When you're struggling to find ways to move the football, one drop where guys, I'm talking contested. I mean, a lot of these are just guys dropping the ball
right,
wide open.
Right.
And when you drop the ball on first down or second down, and you put yourself in a situation where you're third and whatever it is, it didn't, at this point, it didn't have to be that long.
Yeah.
You drop a wide open pass or miss a wide open throw, now you struggle if you don't get it on third down. Then the coach feels like he has to go on fourth down. So those things when you're struggling to score and move the football consistently, they're like I don't know, they're much bigger.
Yeah.
Right.
At that time, because you don't seem to be able to overcome. But the big plays haven't been there, which we've had quite a few drops there as well on big plays. So I think that's one of the most glaring outside of the run game portion. Is just we haven't had any big plays.
No, 100%. As we move forward, this turned out to be a fantastic game.
I think I'm gonna have to start taking Duke seriously.
Well,
Essentially, they were good.
Yes, I was gonna say I'm halfway there with you. I'm halfway there with you. They were way better than I thought they were going to be. Let's start with that. Malik Murphy was better than I thought he would be. He had a good day. 295. Now I don't know if you want him throwing the ball 48 times.
No.
But they really couldn't get anything substantial going with the run game. So
there's only one quarterback in the conference I want throwing the ball that many times.
Right, exactly. Kevin Jennings had an efficient day. He was 13 of 24, 258, but he had 3 interceptions.
Yeah, he struggled.
Sometimes you don't want to praise these guys too fast. Maybe we're praising them too fast. We gave him all that glowing praise last week, and then he comes out and has a 3 interception day.
I mean, it happens. I mean, Coach Junior had a 3 interception day.
Exactly. But their running game saved them. They had a decent running game. They produced three tugs from the running game alone. Brashard Smith, 26 carries, 117 yards. He had a great day. But they won on a blocked field goal at the end.
Hey, Charlie, I'm gonna bring up something that we talked about last week. To me, and you probably agree. To me, this shows more about SMU that this is a good win on the road. It was a tough game, and they deserve praise. But the national media will look at it like they struggled against the Duke team, and this means that the conference isn't as good. Meanwhile, with Texas barely winning at Vanderbilt, that's like, oh, because the SEC is so tough. Exactly what we was just talking about last week.
100%.
100. I mean, it's all about perception. But also, neither team wanted to win the game. I mean, SMU gave Duke like numerous chances,
yes,
and vice versa, to win the game. I mean, they just kept giving them the ball back, like right there.
It's like win the game. No, you win the game. No, you win the game.
And I'm like, man, who's gonna take this game? But like you said, we got to stop with all of the comparisons about conferences and who's stronger and what have. I mean, teams are competing. These teams are competing, and it may look different from certain people's standpoint, but at the end of the day, who's on your schedule? You chose to be whatever conference you're in. I mean, it's your choice to be there, and they're there for reasons. Whatever those reasons are, I mean, they have to compete against the people that are there. And so Vanderbilt this year is not the old Vanderbilt that we used to know. And so let's just be upfront and honest about that part. They've gotten better. And so I just think, when we start looking at it, they have upped their game, and they've been in the cellar for so long. People expect them to be still in the cellar, but
they turned their program around. They turned their program around quicker than they remodeled their stadium.
Yeah, that stadium never be remodeled.
That's like a 3-year project.
Well, listen, while SMU and Duke didn't know who they wanted to win, Notre Dame for sure knew who they wanted to win.
Yes.
This one actually shocked me because I thought Navy would have been better, and it looked like
Notre Dame should be arrested for treason for the way they beat Navy.
But they turned
I
the ball
don't know
over,
you're supposed to do that on federal property like that.
They're gonna do the same thing to Army.
It felt wrong.
They turned the ball over. Navy turned the ball over.
Yeah.
Yep. But I mean, that's kind of been Notre Dame's MO this season. If you really look at it, they turn you over. The defense is kind of carrying them. Riley Leonard's been all right, but I think that their defense is underrated.
Yeah, defense has been really good. This one was a tight one, and right to the end, I thought I was going to get that I Bleav win, and then Vanderbilt didn't have the magic at the end. But
shout
Texas,
out to Vanderbilt, though. Shout out to Vanderbilt. No, just shout out to Vanderbilt. I mean,
they balling this year.
They are playing, and they play with so much like the atmosphere. Who would have think that Vanderbilt would have atmosphere at their games? And it would have been as raucous of an atmosphere if the game was at Texas. I mean, they've really built that thing up at Vanderbilt really fast.
I'm not going to hold you, but I think you got to at least give Vanderbilt's head coach a coach of the year consideration.
He's got to be coach of the year, especially in the SEC.
I mean, he's got to be in the conversation at least.
I mean, the SEC is the NFL. He's got to be coach of the year, right?
Let them tell it. Because
it just means more.
Right.
That's not.
Do you Bleav in Oregon? That's the real question.
Is Oregon the least talked about number one team ever?
Yes. But they're solid. I think they like
they
that.
are solid.
I think they like that being the number one team. But they're being on the West Coast. It's not even West Coast, but being out there. I think
Great Northwest.
Yeah, they are. That's what keeps them from being talked about a lot more, I should say.
Well, I think it's part that and part that they've been there before and they haven't gotten over that hump. I think that's part of it too. But if you was just to ask the average college football fan who's the number one team in the country, Oregon doesn't come up.
Oregon would not be in the conversation.
How are you number one and flying under the radar? It's crazy.
Well, here's the other irony. Oregon's not there. Colorado's not there. Who else is out that's playing well? They got like 4 Pac-12 teams in the country that are playing good football, and there's no Pac-12.
And that's the other irony. Colorado's flying under the radar. How? They got more attention last year when they were losing than they are this year when they're winning.
Well,
and solidly playing solid football.
Yeah.
Quiet as kept, they're on the cusp of the playoffs.
Yep.
So that is another prime effect. Last year, people wanted him to fail.
Uh-huh.
And even coming into this year, they wanted him to fail and saying that he wasn't going to be able to do X, Y, Z because he had like 80 transfers in the past 2 years or whatever it was.
Right.
Did the roster and how they're going to do X, Y, Z. And they've kind of quietly gone about their business in a sense. You know, they still have their deal on social media and all the different things, you know, that they do, but they've just quietly gone about their business, and each week they showed up and they've competed.
And by the way, a winnable Big 12. It's
right,
not.
that's why I said they're on the cusp. They're on the cusp of the playoffs.
I got a chance to finally see BYU play, who is sitting at the top of their league. I have not yet seen Iowa State play. I'll watch them this weekend, but I haven't seen anything that anybody's doing in the Big 12 that Colorado, this team that's playing now, the one that's played the last 3 weeks, that they couldn't beat. And I know they would love to get another crack at Kansas State and Nebraska, especially with the way Nebraska and Kansas State are playing.
Avery Johnson, he's another one of those underrated quarterbacks.
Yeah.
That guy can play. That guy can play some ball. I love watching him play.
Well, the other, I Bleav, games were the Eagles-Bengals. Bengals in sound the alarm. The Bengals are in trouble.
Yeah, they might want to start selling.
Yeah. It might be time. It might be time to get some folk off the ship.
I said it in the offseason when it happened, and I think it's reigned true. Losing Joe Mixon really hurt that offense.
Oh, it changed the whole dynamic.
Even though he's been hurt for Houston, I mean, he was their rushing game, and
he was perfect for what they do.
And then losing P. Ryan on top of it, those were huge losses for the Bengals. Yeah. And they kind of flew under the radar because they're not big household names, but they were huge for that Bengals offense.
Yeah. Are the Eagles back?
Yes.
I think so.
Devontae Smith.
But Devontae Smith is fantastic.
I think they're back.
That's what makes them good.
Yep. And then having A.J. Brown back doesn't hurt. Because that's the other thing. When they were struggling, he was out. And so
we're both out.
Yeah. And so them being back, and I think I do kind of feel like, and then Saquon playing like he's playing. And then I do kind of feel like Jalen Hurts, it kind of feels like he's kind of taking over the offense. Like, you know what? I got this. Y'all go ahead and chill. You go over there and argue with the fans. I got this over here.
I think they're doing they played 2 weeks really, really well. But I think they also beat two questionable teams. One of them being mine.
But you know, those stat games get you back on track.
They can.
Gotta be who's on the schedule.
Right.
I agree. And I didn't bring that up because he said that. They were next on the list. I brought them up because they were next.
I know that.
Okay.
The Cowboys is like this, like the team that they play okay, keep the game close, but they just can't win.
Look,
they are 4-5. I mean, it's not like they're bad, right?
No, they're bad.
They're bad.
They are 4-5. Like they're not.
But that's 5.
Not bad.
That's 5 though. Lord, tell them. Take Charlie through our text messages through that day. So when they were down and Dak started making the comeback and they had those 2 touchdowns.
Right.
Lloyd was like, "Oh, they coming back." I was like, "Nope." I was like, "This is classic Dak."
He said, "They're not."
When there's no pressure on them because they're getting blown out, he'll start looking good. I was like, let them get the ball back with a chance to win the game and see what happens. What happens? 4 straight incompletions.
But you know what though? Kendrick.
Even though I'll give him one that hit Turpin in the face.
Yeah, that wasn't his fault.
That wasn't his fault.
That wasn't his fault. But you know what? That didn't even make me as mad as the 3 timeouts that McCarthy called before they even got the ball. I didn't understand that. I was like, why?
That's what has amazed me about the coverage of the game since then. Is no one has brought that up when I've watched the national media talk about that game. I was like, they called all 3 of their timeouts with 3 minutes left in the game. Well, so they put all their bags in that last drive.
Yeah.
And then on top of it, at that point, you had time because you wasted all your timeouts. You don't try to run the ball at least once.
Right. Well, they can't run the ball.
But, I mean, just to keep the defense honest, run the ball. I mean, they throw 4 straight passes, and none of the passes are in the middle of the field. They're all on the sideline.
Yeah.
And this is like clock management and Mike McCarthy are bitter enemies.
Yeah.
They hate each other.
Well, here's the blessing and the curse of what happened in that game. The blessing and the curse was it was a horrible game. But thank God for the Commanders because they stole all the highlights this week on maybe the most ridiculous Hail Mary in the last 10 years.
It was ridiculous.
That was ridiculous. The fact that they pulled that off is insane.
The defensive back for the Bears, though.
Shout out to Tyreek Stevens, who
I give it that he owned it. I give him credit for the way he's responded to it.
I mean,
and I think it's going to be a learning.
What did he say?
But what else could he do? Like there was nothing else he could do.
You could duck the smoke and just not say anything. But he's come out and
he would have been fired.
Yeah, he's come out.
Yeah.
And, he's like, I apologize to the Bears, to the city of Chicago. It's a learning experience, and he said all the right things. And a lot of times you see guys do that, and you don't hear from them. So he didn't duck the smoke.
Was it a learning experience?
It better be. If it's not, something wrong with him.
But I'm still trying to figure out like what was learning about it. I mean,
That's not it.
he should have known to knock the ball down.
That's not even the worst part of it, though. Have you seen the video of him before the snap? Well, after the snap?
Oh, he's the one that was talking to the
Yeah,
crowd.
he's the exact same one. The one that knocked the ball up was the one that was talking to the crowd after the ball snapped.
No.
Twice. Yeah.
Right.
He was talking to the crowd on that out route.
Out route, he was talking to. He didn't even see the out route. He was too busy talking to the Chicago or to the Commanders fans. He didn't even know the out route. I'm not even sure he was involved in the first play at all.
Yeah, he didn't know the out route happened until they watched film on Monday.
He was like, "There was an out route." I threw an out route.
That's a lesson. That's a lesson in humility.
I was like, bro, you do know the game's not over, right? Like, what are you doing? Crazy. That was a crazy play. Crazy play. So that's how
the Bears shouldn't have won that game anyway.
The Bears should not have won that game. It should have never been that game in the game at all. But amazing outcome. So anyway, with all that being said, I'm sorry. Hold on one second. You guys continue.
Well, surprise. Well, Charlie Lloyd told me something before the show that I didn't realize last week. He forgot to update the records last week.
I did. And I was like,
that's what I was wondering because it was like 52. We were 50 something and something back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, it didn't dawn on me until after. I was like, that don't sound right. So anyway, needless to say, the records are up to date and confirmed now. And so Charlie has a slight edge over Kendrick and I.
Lloyd's right there.
I'm right there. I'm back in the mix. Had Vanderbilt come through for me this week, we might be looking at a different situation. But they did not. So needless to say, they did not.
He picked Vanderbilt.
I picked Vanderbilt just thinking that the Magic. I could have taken the easy route like some people did, taking Oregon.
It wasn't quite as easy.
Smart.
Oh, Oregon. Who took Oregon?
I'm not gonna say any names. Probably because that's rude to say names.
Hey, if you lob a softball up there, I'm just knock it out of the park.
Yes, knock it out. I'm not even mad at you. I'm not even mad at you. I can't even be upset at you. So, with that being said, as we go to our Week 10 games, no Thursday, no Friday games for us this week in the ACC. So
nice.
We will jump right into Saturday, and we got Duke and Miami, which I would not have thought that this would be a big game, but it turns out this might end up being a big game because Miami is living on the edge right now, and you got to wonder, can they keep living on the edge? Is there going to be a moment where playing that way catches up with you?
I don't think it would be at home, though.
It doesn't feel like it would be.
They don't have that much of a home field advantage either, though.
That's the other thing. And then also, I don't know, man. This Duke team, they got something that
they have defense.
They got defense and belief in themselves. Like they played well everywhere. So I don't know, man.
Their offensive performance last week gives me pause. So I think the Hurricanes gonna be fine. Duke.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, Duke play much better at home. But like you said, Kendrick, I'm not sold on their offense. Malik Murphy, to me, just still seems. I don't know. He is a first year starter.
Mm-hmm.
So he's still learning a lot. On the fly, even though we're in game 8 or whatever it is. So or 9, 10, whatever. But I think it's I think Miami, they are, like I say, they're there, but they still got Cam Ward. Like,
Right.
he erases a lot of things.
Yeah. And Restrepo. I'm a big Restrepo fan. I love that dude.
I think it's safe to say we're all going Miami there, but we'll be keeping our eye for sure on this game. Stanford and NC State. This is
not be watching this game.
Well, this is the definition of a pick'em because you don't really know.
You don't know. I'll go with your claim about time difference on this one, because essentially this game is at 9:00 in the morning for Stanford. So if you're going to bring in West Coast teams, you can't make them travel across the country and play a noon game.
That seems unfair.
That does seem unfair. That's unfair. So I'm going to go NC State.
Maybe they're trying to kick him out.
Stanford's going to use this as leverage.
Going to keep torturing them until they say we quit. 11 times. Are we all going NC State on this one?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Although, again, this is one of those games I would not be surprised.
You never know what NC State's going to do.
Yeah, we're not surprised.
This is a tough one.
I gotta believe that Syracuse and McCord bounce back. I can't believe he's gonna have two bad games like that in a row.
He don't necessarily doesn't necessarily have to have a bad game for them to lose, though.
He doesn't, but I just Syracuse plays well at home. They have historically played well at home.
So I see that big tight end for Syracuse, tight end / wide receiver. Is he injured for Syracuse?
Oh, hold on. Breaking news. Charlie Ward is breaking news here.
I thought I saw him standing on the sideline last game. I'm forgetting his name. He's been there for a few years now. Rondo Gatson.
Yeah, his dad played in the league, right? Yeah, he has been there because he gashed U of L when they played up to the last time.
So is he out? Is he out?
I thought I saw him on the sideline.
That may influence my pick.
Thought I saw him on the sideline in his jersey, street clothes.
That may influence my pick if that's true. I don't see where he's out, but you may have messed me up, Charlie, because I was solidly going Syracuse. I think I still may go Syracuse in this one.
I'm gonna go Virginia Tech.
Okay.
This is a tough one for me because I know how good Syracuse has been at home. Virginia Tech does travel.
They do travel.
Give me Virginia Tech's running back. I'll go with the Hokies.
All right. Okay, so here's the thing.
It's another pick'em.
No, I'm trying to give Charlie hope here.
We're gonna pick FSU. Let's go Noles.
Listen, if ever there is a team that you can get your offense together, historically it has been North Carolina.
Historically,
though I will admit, last week
they held Virginia to 14 points.
They held Virginia to. So.
I'm going Florida State.
You're going Florida State, Charlie. That's right.
I think Charlie's going with his heart on this one.
And as he should. He should.
We need the Seminoles to show up and show out, which we haven't done any games.
Because Charlie, you tried reverse psychology. That has not worked.
Yeah.
So at this point, you might as well just pick them and live with the results.
That's what I'm doing.
Okay. Listen, having said that, I'm going UNC. So
I'm going UNC too, just because if they held Virginia to 14 points, they can hold that offense to 14 points.
I made sure I relay that message to my guys.
Yeah, don't tell you guys and say my whole podcast picked against you. Now go win.
No Bleav.
No Bleav whatsoever. Okay. Now this is an interesting one as well. This is one of the night games. Louisville Clemson. On paper, this is a really good matchup. Though Clemson is playing pretty well top to bottom. I don't know.
I'm going with Clemson.
You going with Clemson?
Yeah. I don't know. Louisville is one of those teams that they're kind of hit or miss. You know, they play spurty, you know, at times, and then they look like world beaters at times. And so it's just that hit or miss type of vibe that you get. But Clemson, of course, has been steady since the Georgia game. They've steadily been getting better. They know what they want to do and how they want to do it. And Klubnik has been really good as well. And they've gotten established the running game, which has been giving them balance from an offensive standpoint. Defensively, they've been solid all year.
I'm going to go Clemson, too, just because Louisville's never beat Clemson. So until they beat them, I can't pick them to beat them. I do think it's going to be a bit of a shootout, though, because I think Louisville's offense can put up yards and put up some points against anybody. But their defense is a question mark. Running quarterbacks have given U of L trouble all year, and Klubnik is as fast as any quarterback. I mean, he might be the fastest, just 40 time or whatever, the quarterback that they face, including Cam Ward. And so I'd like, you know, I've been on Klubnik since he first got there, even though Lloyd has not. I'm going with Clemson in this one.
I'm going with history. Not Louisville's history, but Jeff Brom's history.
So you go Clemson.
Well, here's the
His
thing.
big wins coming home.
They do. They typically do. Now, listen, that's the truth. They typically do. But also, he has this weird history of struggling against teams he's supposed to beat and then somehow finding a way to beat. If you go back and look at his Purdue legacy, it's littered with there's no way they should win this game, and they somehow won it.
Where were those games at?
They were at Purdue. Admittedly, they were at Purdue.
West Lafayette.
Right. But to the same point of that, they also came with teams that were far less talented than the team he has now. Like, this team is ridiculously talented.
I don't know. That time they beat Ohio State, they had Rondell Moore. Rondell killed a lot of woes.
He did. I just got a feeling. This is just a feeling.
Yay.
This is just a feeling.
I mean, it could happen. Like I said, because like you said, I think if it's a shootout, I mean, Louisville has a shot if it's a shootout. If it's a slugfest, and it's, you know, I'd go with Clemson. But if it's a shootout, I give Louisville a punch.
And then also, I'm rooting for chaos. I'd love to see a little bit of chaos in the ACC for the ACC Championship. So let's upset the apple.
And you are kind of dressed like conspiracy brother.
I am. That's what I was going for Halloween outfit. Well, never mind. If you know, you know on that movie. If you know, you know. One of my favorite movies, by the way. So I'm going for chaos. Now, the game of the weekend, this is going to be a much better, and I'm so glad that Eli Holston is going to play. So there'll be no excuse.
Why did he get hurt last game?
I want to say it was a concussion. I'm pretty sure it was a concussion. And I think he just cleared protocols, which is amazing because you normally don't clear that fast. So maybe it was just like a low grade.
It could have been a low grade concussion.
Yeah, maybe a low grade concussion. But nevertheless, this is going to be a really good game. And this will be a game that essentially brings the much more clarity to who's going to be in the ACC Championship game. Now, Pitt's offense has not – they've traveled better this year than they ever have since we've been watching them on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. But I just wonder what it'll look like under those Dallas lights.
SMU didn't. I mean, they played okay against Duke.
They were great.
They showed flashes of not being who I know for myself, who I thought they were. Because I thought Jennings was playing really, really well, playing at a high level, and he was making really good decisions. And then last week, he looked like he was unsure. He was trying to pull the ball down. They were keeping him in the pocket, and he was just throwing that thing around, hoping to get hits his team hand. And he just didn't look comfortable.
He did not.
And so that gave me hesitation when it came down to just, I don't know. They weren't as sharp with Chris, but he's the young player, so those things are to be expected at some point. But of course, I'm going to go with SMU because they're at home.
Okay.
And I'm with Charlie. I also think it's going to be a bounce back game for Jennings. I think he got that bad game out of his system. I think he's going to come into this game, home game, feeling like he's got something to prove. And I believe he's going to do that. Pitt's going to be right there. Pitt's going to give them all they got. But I really do think SMU coming in, night game at home, that with that atmosphere there, and him coming off a bad game, I don't see him having two bad games in a row, and that's why I go with SMU.
I gotta concur and get on board with you guys on this one. I just believe that kid is special, and he's going to remind us that he's special. The weather's going to be fantastic. I just think SMU at home is difficult to beat.
Mm-hmm.
It's just difficult to beat. So give me SMU as well. Okay, and then finally in our I Bleav games of the week, we've got some difficult ones this week, gentlemen. We got Ohio State, Penn State, although historically Penn State loses this game.
Yes.
I don't know why. Penn State will play phenomenal all year long, beat everybody that they're supposed to beat, then go to Ohio State or play Ohio State, whether there or at home, and lose this game. Yeah. So take that in consideration as you make that pick. This one made our radar because of one reason and one reason only. Because if for some reason Iowa State were to lose this game to Texas Tech, it would reverberate in the Big 12 tremendously, opening up the door for the TV show to become the TV show. Colorado will be cheering so hard for Texas Tech, who, by the way, can beat Iowa State. There's nothing that Iowa State does that Texas Tech should not be prepared for. So this will be an interesting game just on that alone. And I wonder if at some point will Iowa State hear the footsteps of those that are following them in the Big 12. So those are your two college games. And then in the pros, we got Dolphins, Bills. Tua is back. What is the weather on that one? That may determine that one.
It's not gonna be that bad. It's early. It's November 3rd. It's gonna be fine.
But the weather is not an issue with that game.
It shouldn't be. It's 54. No. Dolphins don't like cold of any kind.
Yeah, I think their record when it's below 60 is crazy.
It's not great. It's not great.
54 is nothing to us.
Right. I'll reiterate this again, since y'all may not have heard me. The weather is not it got nothing to do with it.
And I agree. And to be honest with you, I agree wholeheartedly with Charlie.
All right. And then
no matter what it is.
And then our fourth game is the late game on Sunday, Lions and Packers, which should be interesting because while Jordan Love probably won't be playing, Malik Willis has found a new career. Like, he looks phenomenal in that offense.
I really looking at that, I think that had more to do with Tennessee. He just didn't fit Tennessee's system more than it was anything. Because the way he looked in college, and granted it's college and it was Liberty, but he did not look anything like he did in college playing in the Tennessee offense. So I just think that he just didn't fit their system. I'm not saying that it was a bad system. even though it hasn't been successful.
Well, it hasn't worked yet.
I tried to be nice and say it's just he didn't fit their system. I don't want to say it's a bad system.
Kendrick, I'm not saying it's a bad system. I'm just saying no quarterback has succeeded in it.
And I don't know why I was trying to be nice for once, but
like no quarterback has succeeded in that system, and they've ran through like 6 of them. So take that for whatever you want to take it for. But that's
like Kentucky and their offensive coordinators.
Just saying. Not saying it's the best system. I'm just saying no one seems to be able to make it work. So there you go. So those are your, I Bleav, choices. Gentlemen, Charlie, we always start with you. Who are you picking this week in your I Bleav game?
Well, you know who I'm picking. I'm going the Bills over the Dolphins.
That's the one I wanted. He said there's no easy.
Taking...
You said there was no easy ones, and then you put that game up there.
But 2 is back.
They lost last week at home. and Tua played 3/4 of that game when he got hurt, and they were getting busted then at home in the heat.
Am I the only one that every time Tua plays, I just cringe a little bit?
No,
like
you're one of everybody.
I'm like, I watch that kid, and I'm just so nervous for him. That's a horrible way to watch football. But
I'm like, boy, if you don't learn to slide,
he won't slide.
If he did last game, and he got a standing ovation.
I started watching. Wow, scary stuff, man. But anyway, all right, who you going with, Kendrick?
Show me the other 2 college games. What's the other college game?
Ohio State, Penn State, which I'm sure none of us are going to touch. And then Texas Tech, Iowa State.
You know what? I am going to test it. I'm going to go with Ohio State.
Oh, go with history.
Yeah, I'm going with history.
I think Penn State's gonna win though this year.
I just don't trust Penn State in big games.
I'm not. What's the quarterback for Ohio State?
Right.
I'm not.
Ohio State has. Yeah.
I like it, but I don't just love the way he plays.
Well, and the thing is, Ohio State was right there with Oregon. At Oregon, they barely lost that game, and so I think they can do that again against, frankly, a coach I don't trust in big games, and so I'm gonna go with Ohio State in the game. I'm stepping out on a limb.
You're on a limb on that one for sure. You know what? Since you stepped out on the limb, Kendrick Haskins, I also will step out on the limb.
You going with the Lions?
No, I'm not actually.
Really?
Give me the Packers at home. Give me the Packers at home.
What scares me for the Packers is I think Jair is hurt again.
And that may be true, but there's something about what they're doing with Malik that I like. And I think they're going to simplify this game for him. And I think that run mix, because I think he's going to run in this game. And I think, and with no Aiden Hutchinson, that's going to be the difference in the game. And by the way, it will also trigger a massive trade by Tuesday of Zadarius Smith finally being a Lion, which is what has been the prediction all along for the trade deadline. I think they got to solve that if they truly have aspirations of getting to the Super Bowl this year. Because they don't have a.
Who's the Darius Smith?
He's the linebacker
he's linebacker / defensive end. He played at Kentucky. He's bounced around. He's been good everywhere he's been, but he's never stuck with anybody. It's been strange to me. He's never been able to stick with anybody, but he's performed well everywhere he's been. Where is he now?
Bengals, I Bleav it's the Bengals.
I don't think it's at the Bengals.
It's not the Bengals. Wherever he is, his name has been bountied about in trade rumors. It appears that whatever team he's on, they don't want him. And it also appears that he doesn't want to be there. So
Darius is with the Browns.
It's the Browns. Okay.
Yeah, he's at the Browns.
Which feels like he's probably going to leave because they're overloaded anyway. So they need to make some changes.
It seems like the Browns would be able to make it work with him and Myles Garrett on the same line.
You would think that they would, and by the way, you would think that they keep him because with Deshaun now being gone, they may have an actual shot.
Right. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if they did go ahead and keep him because now they have new hope. They have hope.
By the way, a collective shout out to Reverend Jameis Winston.
I love that.
Preached that. I got it now.
Is. I forgot.
I completely forgot. Oh my God, Charlie, that is well played, sir. That is well played. Oh man, he was blessed.
I want to give him a flex, but like not a negative humble flex. I don't want to give him a flex. Like I don't know what else we had was something good because not the normal humble flex. That was awesome. That was good.
He was blessed. Let me say something. He was blessed to get through that game because Kyle Hamilton absolutely should have caught that interception.
Oh, Jameis tried to Jameis multiple times.
Right. But man, his pre and post game.
He's living right.
I was gonna say his pre and post game is the story of legends. I mean, just unwavering faith. Unmeasured faith. I was like, you better preach, boy. You better put. I thought he was preaching. He was just announcing it. I didn't know what was going on.
He's gonna make more money when he retires being a motivational speaker than he ever made playing.
No question.
Because I would pay to watch Jameis talk.
I love Jameis. I am a Jameis dude. I love him. I love him.
He's so out there. He's so crazy, and I love him to death.
I'm here for it all. I am here for it all.
And he's giving.
And by the way, meant every word he said. You can think
means everything he said. He believes everything he says.
First of all, he may have had the greatest post-game interview of all time because he said it was unwavering faith. God blessed it. It was this, that, and the other. And by the way, there was a white boy in Detroit that said you got to lose yourself. So the fact that you can put Jesus and Eminem in the same sentence, I'm always here for that.
Hey man, he's
I am always here for that. So shout out to James.
He's like that all. I can see where it kind of wears on you after a while. I love that dude.
I love him. I am a fan.
When he's at Florida State, and we didn't know how crazy he was in college. Now
I am a fan. I am a fan.
He's got a long career after the NFL, either being
no question about it.
I would love to watch him on a broadcast, even though he probably is too long-winded for television. But I want to see. I just want to hear Jameis talk.
Absolutely. All right, so let's. We got our picks in. Who are we shouting out, people?
Well. We've already gotten one out of the
way. I'm shouting out my guy, Jameis Winston, who was 27 for 41 for 334 yards and 3 touchdowns and 0 interceptions in his start against the Baltimore Ravens, nonetheless. I mean, they were one of the division leaders and playing well at the time. So,
yeah,
shout out to Jameis. Hopefully, he can continue to make it work the rest of the year to help revitalize his career like Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, because like if he plays well enough, like Baker Mayfield, he won't be in Cleveland next year.
By the way. Shout out to Baker Mayfield. Just on a side note, not my official shout, but a shout out to Baker Mayfield, who, with no receivers, still balled out this week. Baker Mayfield has officially turned the corner. He is not the laughing stock of anybody anymore. He is a solid,
anyway. He was solid
quarterback now. Well, for some people, he was a laughing stock. He was a bust. He was whatever. Baker Mayfield is balling. Huh?
He did have receivers because he can't throw to himself.
Well, touche, Charlie. Touche.
I'm just saying. You said it. So the man that had the receivers.
Well, he didn't have his usual guys, Charlie. I'll say it that way.
He didn't have his star receivers. He got one out.
All right.
He didn't have his usual guys.
I'm just pointing out the obvious.
You did. Touche. Kenny, who you shout out to?
Only Charlie. I'm gonna get back to our subject at the beginning of the show. Shout out to the Dodgers, who's got a lot of local influence with Will Smith. Walker Buehler is a Lexington native. Will Smith is a Louisville native and played at University of Louisville. And Mookie Betts is Louisville adjacent because Mookie's got a ton of family here, and he comes to Louisville every year and plays in a bowling tournament. A lot of people didn't know it. It's flown on the radar for years, but we got a hold of it and was able to do a story. We actually did a one-on-one with Mookie last year when he was in town for his bowling tournament, and say he's got a lot of family here, and so the shout out to the Louisville Dodgers or the Kentucky Dodgers.
Kentucky Dodgers, right?
Because they got another Louisville kid on the team too, from a U of L player on the team. His name escapes me right now, but they've got a lot of local influence in Louisville. So shout out to the Dodgers for winning the World Series. Shout out to my guy Dusty Baker, my coworker, who is a diehard Dodgers fan, who's really annoying with it, but he went up. This fool went up there for Game 4. He flew up to New York. Him and his beautiful girlfriend Madeline flew up to New York. Did not get a hotel. After the game, they just went back to LaGuardia and stayed in the airport until their flight back. And then he came back and worked a full day yesterday. So
wow.
Because I wouldn't give him off. So because we had too much going on. So shout out to Dusty being a ridiculous Dodgers fan.
That's a diehard right there.
Think of any team that I love that much.
The girlfriend must be really, really they're with him thick and thin. She go and stay in the airport.
She is a loyal girlfriend.
Yeah,
I don't know if she's a loyal fan, but she's definitely a loyal girlfriend.
She definitely passed whatever test needed to be passed.
Right. He should have proposed in that airport.
Yeah, because that's some love from both.
I don't know
of them.
too many women that would have done that.
That's love from her, and that's love from him for those Dodgers to do all of it.
Well, I would say there's love for her, maybe delusion from him. I don't know if it.
Yeah. And it's not like he's had, because this is what cracks me up, because one of my other buddies was like, yeah, you should let him have this is a once in a lifetime thing. I'm like, no, it's not. No. He covered the Dodgers when they won their last World Series. So he's seen it before, and he had more access.
And by the way, the Dodgers will probably be in or around the World Series for the next 5 years.
At least.
Probably. So it's not a once in a lifetime.
They got Shohei Ohtani. So
they spent. Who's the highest paid team?
The Dodgers.
No, the Mets was the highest.
Was it the Mets? Okay, the Dodgers are right there in the top 3. I'm sure.
I mean, the top 4 payroll. Well, top 3 payrolls were in the league championship series. The Dodgers,
right.
The Mets, and the Yankees.
Yeah, so let's not act like they're not going to be around it. He'll get another chance
as long as Shohei's there. And as long as they can keep moving, and they've locked Will Smith up for a long time. So I don't know how many years Freddie Freeman has left in him. And so as long as they have that core, they're gonna be right there.
By the way, I heard a thing this morning. They said the projection for Juan Soto's new contract will be somewhere near $700 to $800 million, which made me question all of my life choices. Like, why didn't I stick with baseball? That seems like
right. I was decent at it.
I was good at it, right? I should have stuck with it. It's clearly would have solved a lot of long-term problems. But nevertheless,
his contract would take him up to he's like 50 years old because baseball contracts are weird.
I would defer like Shohei did and just take a lot of it on the back end. But that's another.
So I want to ask this. This happens a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think if the Yankees don't offer him that, he will go to a team that will pay him that amount of money, but still may not make the playoffs or have a tough time getting to the playoffs?
100%.
Well, whoever does it is going to be a playoff team, though, because the prevailing rumors is the Mets, and the Mets were just in the league championship series.
Yeah.
So,
but I think you take, well, first of all, his agent is Scott Boras. So that tells you right there he's absolutely taking the money.
Oh, yeah, he's absolutely.
His agent is Scott Boras. But secondly, I don't think you can turn down in good consciousness $800 million. I just don't. There is no World Series title that trumps $800 million. Just guaranteed. That's guaranteed money. I just think you'd be crazy to turn that down. I just don't think you can do it.
No.
That is beyond generational money.
Yeah, I understand it.
Yeah. So,
and it's not like the rest of the sports that have a salary cap. They can go out and get some more talent around them if they need to.
Right. Exactly.
He's not taking up the salary cap.
So I have a different kind of shout out. It's not a good one. This is a weird shout out. I want to shout out the WNBA. As it stands right now, the WNBA has, if I'm not mistaken, I don't want to misquote, so let me make sure I get my information accurately. They have, we have a thunderstorm, but they have 1, 2, 3, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. They have 13 total teams in their leagues. They have now fired 7 coaches.
Oh, 7?
7 coaches are looking for jobs. And by the way, I tend to also believe, as weird as this is going to sound, this is also the Caitlin Clark effect. Here's the reason why. Now that there are going to be far more eyeballs on the league, for some reason, and by the way, this feels a lot like collusion, even though there's no way to prove it. It feels like everyone is saying we need to upgrade who we have on the sidelines, which I don't know if that's true or not. Because to me, you need to upgrade your referees, because that's the real problem of the WNBA. If you ask me, your referees are horrible.
Women's college basketball, too.
Horrible. Some of the worst officiating you've ever seen in your life. But to fire 7, if over half the coaches had been fired in the WNBA or in the NFL or in Major League Baseball, we'd all be losing our minds right now. But because this is a league that is, quote unquote, brand new, new eyeballs, nobody's saying anything. This is a crazy 7. And by the way, 2 of the coaches, I don't understand the firing at all. Connecticut's coach and the Fever's coach, who had more challenges this year than the Fever coach?
3 coaches, because you throw in Witherspoon too when she got fired.
And Witherspoon in her first year wasn't good enough, even though the Chicago, it's been a crazy offseason for the WNBA. But we'll see what's about to happen. I'm curious to know where this is all going.
I think part of it too is you have ownership that's new to the game, and for a lot of these teams, and so I think that's part of it. Yes, you see it in the other sports all the time. A new owner comes in and they want to get rid of everybody, and they want to make the big splash in free agency, aka Phoenix
7 teams,
Phoenix Suns, and so it's. Those 3 that we mentioned, I don't understand those firings at all. And
I don't get it at all. Connecticut Sun, who just played in, the conference championship game, right? The Fever, I'm serious, coach. I don't understand. She literally took a team that hadn't been in the playoff in like 3 or 4 years. They dropped arguably the biggest name that's probably maybe ever been in WNBA, or at least coming into a season, and she made that work and got them to the playoffs. And for her sacrifice and services, she got ceremoniously fired.
And a lot of their struggles early in the season was they were a young team getting to know each other, getting to learn how to play with Caitlin Clark. B, Caitlin is exhausted because they just came off the Final Four.
Right.
So she's exhausted. And we said it when they came back from the break. That Caitlin's got her rest. All the people who were whining about her not being on the Olympic team, it was the best thing to happen to Caitlin Clark. And so she came back rested. They was able to gel more, and they took off and made it to the playoffs. And then you fired a coach. So
wow.
Good luck with that. Whoever's the next coach.
Good luck to him. I mean,
You've got talent. You've definitely got talent. So, but the WNBA is tough too because you see draft picks that get cut before the season starts.
Also,
you talk about a league that needs to expand. They need to expand.
Yeah.
As soon as they can. I know a city that loves women's college basketball would be a great candidate for a WNBA team. Well, that's an awesome arena.
Like I said, well, we'll see what happens going forward. But I just wanted to point that out as wild off season for the WNBA. Yep. Okay. Well, that's all we got. That's all we got for you. I don't know who's playing tonight. I know there's
the Jets in Houston.
Go Texans.
Go Texans.
For sure. Listen,
DJ
nothing gives me greater pleasure than watching Aaron Rodgers lose. That feels my soul.
Even now, even more. I just don't like the way they went about letting Coach Saleh go.
Yeah,
and then demoting the offensive coordinator. Just all that doesn't sit right.
It's an organization that has zero clue of what they're doing.
Yeah,
they have zero vision. They thought that a 40-year-old plus quarterback coming off an Achilles was going to be the be-all, end-all for them. No.
By the way,
you still don't have an offensive line. You didn't have an offensive line before. Is why you got hurt.
By the way, if I were the Jets, would absolutely, before the trade deadline, bring in a young quarterback on the fringes, maybe even a Malik Willis.
Jordan Travis there, baby. Come on,
who's there?
They got Jordan Travis there.
Oh,
that's right. Well, he is there.
Is he healthy now?
No, he's rehabbing. But I mean,
he's still rehabbing.
Bring him on next year. I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, I guess what I'm saying, I
wouldn't be surprised if Aaron. I wouldn't. Well, you finish out the season with him. You paying him too much.
Do you?
All the money they're paying. That's why Deshaun was playing because all the money they're paying him. And so you think you finish out the season with him. I wouldn't be surprised if Aaron retires at the end of the season or wants to go somewhere else.
If I were the Jets, I would help him retire.
Yeah. So
I would absolutely help him retire.
And I think Jordan Travis is a sneaky good quarterback for them. If they have vision and don't try to go all in and realize it's going to take a little bit of time, rebuild, I think they can be set up for the future because Jordan Travis, he's on a rookie contract. And so,
speaking of that, before we go, I got to ask you this, Charlie, just because I would love to get your expertise on this. Colts, are they making a mistake with Anthony Richardson?
I think every young player that's not every, but a lot of young players go through this time where you're going to have challenges that you have to navigate through. And sports, life, it's about resilience, being resilient, persevering. How do you respond from difficult challenges, and how do you respond to success? And so, in this day and age, we have all the mental counseling and mental coaching that you can navigate your way through it a little bit better. So for him, I think this is a great moment, depending upon how he responds. We all respond differently, and I don't know him personally, but we'll see how he responds to this. Because when it's all said and done, 3 years from now, no one would never know this happened if he responds positively to it.
I think there's a lot of maturing that needs to happen there.
Yeah, I mean that was from the jump.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are some guys that are mature when they come in. There are some that needs to mature, and so, like you said, this is part of that maturation process.
I don't disagree with anything you guys are saying. My only pushback is this: you spent a whole offseason with him. I'm sure the issues that he's having should not be shocking to anybody. Like he wasn't. You're not going to tell me that he was consistently throwing us, missing the 7 foot slant in training camp. Like he can't throw it. He's not. I don't think that for quite some time.
But a lot of times the coaches don't have say on who the starting quarterback is, aka Cleveland.
No, I hear you. But
that was an hearsay call.
I feel like this one. They
really? No.
Maybe, I don't know.
No, you're talking about hearsay now. No.
Yeah, that's true.
I really and truly, I think he may have still. I think he lost his starting position when he tapped out, and he comes out in the press conference and says he tapped out because he was tired.
Which, by the way, is weird. I didn't see that.
I think that's when he lost his because if you're an offensive lineman, you're like,
I'm not insulting. With this dude. That's insulting to say I'm tired.
And you got Flacco over there who's a proven winner. And they played better with Flacco in the game. So.
But Charlie, you will appreciate this, Charlie. But this also speaks to the impatience of most franchises. It's okay to let a kid sit until he's ready. It's okay.
And when he was drafted, that was literally what they said. Is like he needs to sit and learn before you throw him in there. And hearsay, it throws him in there.
Everybody ain't coming as CJ Stroud or Jaden Daniels. They're just not. And so it's probably better to draft with the expectation that this kid may need a year. He might need a year. There's only going to be one of those guys probably in a draft, or maybe two. We got fortunate last year to have two. But I make a case that Caleb maybe could have said.
Bo Nix is playing halfway decent this year.
Yeah, he's been fine. He's also older.
And they've given him a package that is favorable for him to play.
And
they're not complicating what he's doing.
There's no blueprint. I mean, some guys can start one right away.
Right.
Some guys can't. You just can't expect every guy to come in and be CJ Stroud.
Right. And it doesn't mean that the guy you took is a bust. It just means he ain't ready yet, and that's okay.
It's a case by case thing, and you can't just assume just because. I mean, even though Peyton Manning started right away, he was awful his rookie season, and so you can't just throw everybody in at the same time. Not everybody is built the same, but like what happens is, the NFL is a monkey see, monkey do league, and so they see one rookie quarterback come in there and tear it up. They think, well, every rookie quarterback.
Now everybody should tear it up.
Yeah, because like Jaden Daniels, and Knicks, they're throwing it up. They're doing great. So whoever comes in next year, the rookie batch coming in next year, there's going to be some owner that thinks automatically that their rookie quarterback's supposed to do the same thing.
Shador has to win the Super Bowl next year. That's how it's going to be. Right?
Yeah. Cam Ward has to come in there and lead.
Nothing less than the conference championship.
Yeah, Cam Ward's got to come in there and lead the Raiders to the Super Bowl next year.
All right, people. Well, that's all we got for you today. We appreciate you as always. We'll be back to do it again next week. We've shouted you out. Be safe tonight as the candy shall be flowing abound all across the world. But if nothing else, just be safe. So have a great evening. This is the great Kendrick Haskins. He is a legend of local and
my dad is
starting to build to a national legend. I mean,
my dad's a legend.
And then, of course, that is the great Charlie Ward down there.
Who is a legend?
Who for sure is a legend. For sure is a legend. And we will see you. And then shout out to Pastor
Winston of AME Zion Cleveland Church.
Hallelujah. We'll see you guys next week.
You've been listening to Bleav in the ACC with Charlie Ward, Lloyd Spence, and Kendrick Haskins. Please like, follow, subscribe, and share from the Noisemakers page on Facebook and on YouTube. And you can also listen to us on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, and wherever podcasts can be heard. And join us next time